Hi, everyone. We are going to listen to some old-fashioned Christmas stories.
I remember, and it would probably be 1940, and I was in the first grade. For Christmas, I got a small student desk. Had one drawer in it and two shelves on it. That was by Santa Claus. Santa Claus yes. Left it. Yeah. On Christmas Day in the afternoon, we just lived around the corner from my grandparents, and we would go over there, of course, for dinner. And my mother's youngest brother was just 1 year older than I was, and then I had brothers who were twins who was 4 years younger. So we just had fun at usually turkey and mashed potatoes and gravy and chocolate cream pie. And Grandmother Smith had a special fruit salad that she made. And well, we didn't really have a lot of money, and you didn't really realize that you didn't have much, because you had your food and you had your clothes and had a roof over your head. But my folks divorced, and Mother was a manager of 2 theaters there in Preston, so she worked seven days a week. After we would go upstairs, we sometimes would go in and go through the projection office and sit on the back of the theater and finish watching the movies again and again and again. I do remember one gift I got when it was probably in the 50s, when the fluorescent colors come out, the bright oranges and greens and that. And I got a little Crosley radio that was lime green in color.
What does Christmas mean to you?
Well, a time for gathering the family and love one another, and the birth of Jesus. And
we always had Christmas and got a Christmas tree, and one of the things that I remember, they'd always give us a little bit of money so we could go out and buy presents for brothers, So we'd go out and buy a present for my brother, and I'd wrap it all up, and then we would unwrap it and show each other and rewrap it and put it under the tree. So we would do that, and then we didn't have a lot for Christmas. We got a couple of presents, and that was it. Probably the most memorable Christmas was I'd asked for a bike for Christmas, and so Christmas came and I got one, and it was a red Schwinn, single speed, and I rode it for 15 years.
Wow.
Rode up into the mountains and everything. My mom would always make good stuff to eat. She made a bread pudding that was to die for, so, and she always baked and made pies, and mostly pies because that's what my dad liked, and I liked them too, so it was good. So it's a bunch of boys, orangutans. So yeah, we had a lot of fun together.
What does Christmas mean to you?
Well, of course, it's what we celebrate for the birth of the Savior and his life. So I get a little emotional sometimes. And then family, of course, being able to get together with family and friends, and so it's always a lot of fun. Even if you can't be together, you can at least, now you can talk over the phone or picture phone. Back in my day, it was none of that. It was all letters, and you had to write, and I didn't like to write. But yeah, the gospel is probably the biggest thing, is if we can remember that, at Christmas time. So
my mother just brought the tree home, and she popped popcorn and And my sister and I would string it on a string with those berries, and cranberries, and then put it on the tree. And that's about all I remember about trimming the tree. I think there was a stocking that they would put an orange, some nuts, and that they had hard candy back then. So we did that. And then I remember a doll. Probably the most memorable one was when my husband, and at the time we had 3 children, we were stationed in Bonn, Germany. And we had to hide the gifts down in the basement. When we put the Christmas out that year, our son, he got up real early in the morning, opened all the kids' gifts, but then he rewrapped them. I just remember the girl saying, when they'd go to open something, he'd tell them what it was. And just seemed like that was the most hilarious Christmas because of that. Oh my, yeah, we had really good meals. My grandma cooked turkey and mashed potatoes, the mince pies, apple and cherry pies, yeah, all the celery, she puts in celery, the cheese, and the salad. Yeah, we had good meals. For a few years, everybody would buy a Christmas ornament,
Yes.
and then we'd play this game, and we exchange the gifts during the game.
Right.
It's kind of hard to explain.
And you steal from each other?
Yes, that's it, But then this last year, instead of doing ornaments, we did mugs that you put cocoa in, and that was fun. It was little different.
What does Christmas mean to you?
Well, to me today, it's just getting my little tree out. My daughter got me one that all I have to do now is just plug it in. It's all decorated, so I don't have to put anything on it. And just being with family.
There were 8 of us, and I was about 17 when the last one was born, and we all had Christmas together, of course. They were all wonderful. I thought Christmas was wonderful. We lived very frugally, and we lived during that Great Depression anyway. And my dad and his father had lost an awful lot of money in the crash, but they always went all out as much as they could for Christmas for us kids. And one Christmas, they had a really cute doll, and I was already 13, mind you. And they had this cute doll for my sister Myrna, who was 4 years younger than I. And I thought it was so cute, and I said so too much. They went out and bought one for me, and I was 13. We always had presents under the tree, and we always had a wonderful Christmas dinner. Oh my gosh, my mother really outdid herself. If I could get a piece of good pumpkin pie, I would certainly be happy. And we had our Thanksgiving dinner here on Friday, and they had pumpkin pie, but it wasn't like homemade at all.
Darn it.
What does Christmas mean to you?
Well, right now, it means I'm not going to be doing much of anything. This is when we celebrate the Savior's birthday. I love the Christmas story. I love to read the Christmas story out of Luke in the Bible on Christmas. And if nobody brings it up, I do. That's the main meaning of it, and I love it.
I don't know how the tradition got started, but we would have our Christmas, and then, when I was little, we would then go to my grandmother's house for Christmas dinner. We would all bundle up in the car and go to my mom's sisters to see what they got for Christmas. Our tree, we always had a real tree, because there weren't fake trees then. Yes, there were. Yes, there were fake trees then. We didn't ever have a fake tree. We always had a real tree. And back then they even smelled good.
Mm.
I remember the day we'd put that up and walk in and your eyes would almost burn. The pine scent was so strong. And my sisters and I would decorate the tree while Mom watched. And anyway, and I remember there were some special ornaments. And then we would put on the icicles, the tinsel. And my older sister was like this Nazi icicle hanger. You did one at a time and you made sure it hung straight down. And we would cover the tree. I remember one time my dad saying, "Girls, there's a green spot right there." And we would hang more icicles. My mom was famous for her pies. She had 13-inch pie plates, and she would make like 7 or 8 pies. And then when we went to Grandma's for dinner, she would take her pies and everybody would ooh and ah. But when I think of my mom, my favorite is raisin. It was so good for breakfast the next morning with an ice cold glass of milk and a piece of raisin pie in your hand. And Mom would make 7 or 8 of these great big pies. Well, Fred's favorite pie was raisin and Dick's favorite pie was cherry. And the night before Thanksgiving, they would each steal one. And they would take them to wherever boys take them and eat them. And I mean, a 13-inch pie. And then, of course, Mom, "Where did those pies go? Your boys." And you could tell she was so happy. That made her so happy that they loved her pies enough to steal them. Christmas was, I don't know, like the reason to have the rest of the year for my mom. She loved Christmas, and we were poor all year till Christmas, and then we just exploded all over the house. And she had like a gazillion presents to wrap, and she worked full time, and we had the animals, the farm, and whatever. And so she would have my sister and I wrap her presents. So she would bring something out. We would spend all day Saturday and we would wrap her presents, and it was our goal to make them unique, pretty, and disguised. And sometimes we'd wrap things inside the tube of the wrapping paper, and I remember one was we'd take 3 tubes and make them different lengths and wrap them together like a grouping of candles. We had this little flame of ribbon, and it was so much fun.
What does Christmas mean to you?
Oh my goodness, Christmas means family all together and lights. I've wondered for a long time what I thought was so magical about Christmas, and it's the lights.
No, mostly we would just go to Grandma's house for Christmas, and all the cousins would play, and we didn't have much money and growing up, and so we didn't have a lot of the fancy stuff. But they'd have the orange and the hard candies and orange slices, and they were a chocolate mound that we thought they were fabulous. I don't think I could gag one down now. They were not good. We had a cabin up at Cascade that we built, and it had electricity, but we didn't have running water or anything. And to get into it, we had snowmobiles, and we'd have to drive our snowmobile in, and so we had sleds, and we'd pack our water and our turkey and all the stuff, the presents and everything, and go into the cabin. And we went in this one Christmas, and years ago, well, when I was in high school, I was in choir. I joined choir. I can't sing. And the choir director says, "Well, Carolyn, you show up to practice and I'll pass you." We went over to the Idaho State Building, the state capitol, in a big old truck was all decorated with Christmas stuff. And we went over there one afternoon and sang Christmas carols out of the back of this old truck. We would string popcorn and we'd make the construction paper little circles and make chains and cut snowflakes. You know how you fold the paper and you cut it, and we had a few of the cotton, balls. Mostly they would just have balls, the glass balls.
One of the things that I always remember is that on Christmas morning, my mother would make me take a plate of food to old John. He would open the door and see that it was me, and I would have the plate of food in front of me so I could tell him what I was doing, so he didn't get angry and chase me off. And I would hand that to him, and I remember he would have tears in his eyes, and he would speak Dutch to me, and I'm sure he was telling me to thank my mother, and that was it. She always took care of old John. Christmas Eve is a very wonderful family, holy time for our family. We do the nativity and we read the scriptures together. My mother would make some kind of a thing that she called pioche. It was some kind of a candy, and then her divinity was wonderful with walnuts in it, and she pulled taffy, and she made chocolate walnut fudge that I just was crazy about. And then I remember that my aunt would dip her own candy apples, and they had some kind of a red finish on them that was real shiny, but it was soft, and they were just wonderful. And she had pink decoration, we call them the bulbs, the Christmas bulbs, all different pink things. And then she would decorate the top of the fireplace mantle with angel hair, and then she had pink Santa sleigh and reindeer and all the stuff. Everything was pink and white, and so it was kind of a big deal. And then Post Register in Idaho Falls would lots of times would come over and photograph some of her decorations. So it was a pretty fancy decorating deal for her. I got a Schwinn bicycle that I just loved. And of course, I immediately took it out on Christmas Day and crashed it a couple of times over at Central Park in Idaho Falls. And I just had a ball on that bicycle. And so that's one of the things I remember. And then a pogo stick. I got a pogo stick. For several years, I wanted to catch Santa Claus. And we had a big couch, kind of a wraparound couch thing. And then there was a recess part in our wall, of course, and Mom would have art or something hanging in this recess thing behind the couch. And so I would go and sneak in there after I was supposed to be in bed. And after I thought everybody was in bed, I'd sneak in there and take my sleeping bag or something or pillow and get behind the couch and wait for Santa to come because I had left him cookies and milk and I wanted to catch him. And of course I'd fall asleep and I never did hear or see anything.
Most of the years what we did is shared what we could make for our brothers, sisters, and they the others too. I remember one Christmas that my brother Delbert had a little fire engine. The only thing I ever got that I remember being bought was a little fire engine. Anyway, me and my little brother and I had to wind him up, if I'm not mistaken. And he'd take across the floor. I remember on Christmas Eve, we wouldn't put the tree up until Christmas Eve day. And my mother, of course, she was, always making candy, cookies, you name it. We'd help to decorate the tree. Well, in those days, you had little candelabras to put on there on the tree and hang them on the limbs so they wouldn't burn the next one, the next one, and the next one. There's so many traditions and things. My mother made homemade chocolates. I mean, bunches of them. And each of the children got a box of chocolate, at Christmas time, plus whatever would come from each other in the family.
What does Christmas mean to you?
Christmas means the Savior's birth, and that to me is a very humbling thought. weren't for him, we wouldn't, none of us be going anywhere.
That's right.
Not a one of us. I love my Savior. I love him. I love him with all my heart.
Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you enjoyed these old-fashioned Christmas stories, and we hope you make your own special Christmas memories this season.